Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Matt with a comparison of the iPad mini and the Nexus 7. Let's get started. The 2013 edition of the Google Nexus 7 has proven to be one heck of a popular tablet, as it continues to be red hot thanks to its killer price point, high-end specs, and diverse platform experience. Meanwhile, Apple's iPad saw itself get outfitted with a Retina display to prove that it's with the times, while also being treated to the same usual set of hardware and software upgrades. Now comes the hard part, finding out which of the two is exactly better to fork over your hard-earned money into. Even though they both saw an increase to their prices, the iPad mini with Retina display saw a significantly higher tally than what most people expected. But nevertheless, if compact tablets are what you seek out, these are no doubt the two that should come into mind. Naturally, their prices influence their designs, which shouldn't be a shocker seeing that one is grossly higher than the other. Aesthetically, there's a premium element to the iPad mini with Retina display, as it continues to boast the sturdier construction thanks in part to its brushed aluminum casing. The Nexus 7 has a soft touch, matte body, though it's definitely not as premium as the iPad mini. Due to the smaller size display it's carrying along, the Nexus 7 benefits by having a more comforting and form-fitting size, best served for those with smaller hands. In comparison, Apple's tablet has a wider figure, which in turn requires more stretching by our hands to grasp with a single hand. After some time, it becomes tiresome, to the point where it just no longer feels as natural holding it. Either way, the designs can be deemed as pleasant, depending on how you look at it. If cutting-edge and premium elements are what attract you most, there's no arguing that you'll see all of that in the iPad mini. However, the smaller size of the Nexus 7, combined with its modest looks, can appease others as well. Around the trims of both tablets, you don't really find anything too surprising with either of them, as they feature nearly the same set of buttons and ports. Specifically, they consist of power buttons, volume controls, various microphones, 3.5mm headset jacks, and respective power and data ports. For small tablets, they're armed with some pretty snazzy cameras. Around the rear, they're both packing 5-megapixel autofocusing cameras. In the front, it's also the usual configuration, as they're graced with 1.2-megapixel front-facing cameras. Like how its name implies, this year's iPad mini benefits from having a Retina display, a 7.9-inch 2048 by 1536 IPS LCD display, giving it the very slightly higher pixel density count of 324 ppi. On the other hand, you can't count out the Google Nexus 7 7-inch 1920 by 1200 IPS LCD display, which pops out equally crisp 323 ppi pixel density figure. Detail isn't an issue with either of them, as they're more than capable of producing sharp visuals that allow our eyes to distinguish even the finest of text in the web browser. Colors are warmer with the iPad mini's Retina display, and the Nexus 7 casts more of a natural tone with its display. Outdoor visibility is pretty good with the two, seeing that they feature a wide variety of viewing angles and a strong brightness output to make them extremely visible. At the end of the day, it's a tough call to choose which one of the displays is better. Unless you've been hiding under a rock for the last few months, then you're probably aware that these two tablets have been updated with brand spanking new user experiences. Visually, there's more of a dramatic change with the presence of iOS 7 with the iPad mini with Retina display, seeing that it receives one fancy new design overhaul that comes to life with its translucency, layered design concept, and fancy new animations. At the core, however, iOS 7 continues to retain the same principle of having a very simplistic operation, making it easy for the first-time users to navigate around. They're fast, like really fast. Thanks to their beefy processor, these two prized tablets perform smoothly with various operations on the surface. Diving deeper and more maliciously looking at them, we realize a slightly more elevated level of snappiness seen with the iPad mini's 64-bit based dual-core 1.3 GHz Apple A7 processor. Well, it's still pretty snappy, with the Nexus 7's quad-core 1.5 GHz Qualcomm Snapdragon S4 processor, but it's just a notch below the level of snappiness put forth by its esteemed competitor. Honestly though, most people would barely be fazed by the difference, since it's so minuscule to the eye. Well, unless you're looking very hard. These tablets make the web browsing experience so much more pleasurable, especially when they produce the same level of performance. Specifically, they include speedy page loads, instant page renderings on the fly, and silky smooth navigation controls. However, the Chrome browser boasts several different new features to complement the experience, like quick tab switching via gestures, the ability to search for keywords, and a diverse set of ways to share web pages. There are more storage configurations with the iPad mini with Retina display, as it's available in 16GB, 32GB, 64GB, and 128GB capacities, giving consumers more variety, obviously. On the other hand, we only have between 16GB or 32GB to choose from with the Nexus 7. Without any way of easily supplementing their capacities, you really need to think long and hard what best suits your needs. To tell you the truth, this comparison would have been harder to decide if the iPad mini with Retina display were sporting the same price point as its predecessor, but a staggering $400, it goes to show it's moved away from that affordable segment. Rather, budget-conscientious consumers are going to be more inclined to look at the Nexus 7, well, that's unless they've invested in the iPad mini's app ecosystem, or if they simply perform a premium constructed tablet. Taking everything into consideration, I'm going to have to say that the Nexus 7 takes the checkered flag with this comparison. Anyway guys, if you like this video, please make sure to subscribe to my channel, as it really does help me out. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.